Welcome back, everybody. Talking Sports with the Know-It-Alls. We back with another show. Today we doing something real different today. Me and the big fella gonna be here by ourselves today. No Eric, no Ant. Ant's still out doing Willie Mays Hayes. No Dion. I think he had a bowel movement or something, so we ain't got no Dion today. So it's just me and the big fella.
And no Raiders fans.
No Raiders fans or nothing. So today episode, we're going to talk about a touchy subject, what I think need to be discussed. We're going to talk about the journey of the black quarterback and why we think they don't get a fair shake in the NFL. What I mean by a fair shake, where they can get a starting position, but once they get one bad season, they're let go. So on that note, we're going to get started. All right, big fella, you know this is a heavy topic about the black quarterback, which I'm a fan of, going back to Vince Evans, Doug Williams. But the one thing that's always been a problem with the NFL, you know, they'll give you, it used to be they wasn't smart enough. They always made some type of excuse not to give the black quarterback their time to shine. You can go back to a quarterback like a Charlie Ward, how you got a guy who wins the Heisman, was a starter more than 1 year and was killing, but you don't even draft him. When you got another guy like a Heath Schuler at Tennessee, where he basically had 1 good year, top 5 pick, you know. So our discussion today gonna be, you know, we're gonna talk about some quarterbacks who did get their chance to play, but didn't. The first sign of trouble almost, they cut him short. So first quarterback I'm gonna talk about is probably one of the. He didn't get cut short, but for him to even to get to the NFL was an issue. He eventually was a Hall of Famer, Warren Moon. For the journey he took just to get to the NFL was it shouldn't even been that way. The way he killed in Washington, to go and have to prove yourself in Canada. Then when he went to Canada, he dominated. Then they have him come over when he did the same thing. But just like all the other black quarterbacks, soon as something go wrong, Houston let him go. And then he ended up going to Minnesota, balling out a couple of years.
Still killing up.
He even went to Seattle. And he probably was 40-something in Seattle. So what you think about Warren Moon?
Warren Moon's good, man. It's sad that when he came out of college, he had to go play in the CFL. It was just terrible. But, I mean, you know, he had to make his mark. You know, just like a lot of quarterbacks back in the, you know, that time, in the 70s, 80s time. You know, you had the USFL, you had the Canadian Football League, you had all these other different leagues. So they had to go prove themselves to other crowds besides the NFL, just so they could, because, you know, the NFL want to monetize everything. So Warren Moon was one of those early ones, just like, you know, a couple other ones. But I think personally, if Warren Moon would have been in the NFL earlier, he would have been, like, you talking about career numbers, would probably been top 10 when he retired, easily.
His numbers,
in my opinion.
I believe,
especially rushing.
If he could have played from the jump, I believe people would just probably now be getting. I'll say him and Dan Marino probably would have had numbers.
Yeah.
Similar to each other.
Yeah.
But instead, what I'm gonna do, instead of going over every quarterback, what I'll do is just name a few, and then, because I think with each quarterback, it was probably a common thread. You look at Randall Cunningham, the Donovan McNabbs, the Dante Culpeppers, Steve McNair, and the common thread to me, even with the way we remember them over the years, you never hear them talk about Steve McNair. No. You know, they always make up something, whether it was the off-field issue, but with our white counterparts, we don't get that. No shade intended. Look at Brett Favre. He done had all type of problems since he retired.
He got way more problems now.
But you still, they'll never let you forget him. So on this show, really, I want to give, basically get on their flowers. You know, quarterback I liked got a raw deal to me. I like Jeff Blake. He had a couple. he didn't have the career Warren Moon them had, but he had a hot, good 5-6 year run, and he was, he was killing. Then as soon as you let him go to get to something we're gonna talk about later, to draft Keely Smith, you was better off keeping Jeff Blake. And that's the one thing, the one constant that I despise. How the second something go wrong with a black quarterback, 9 times out of 10 they throw him to the side. He doesn't get a chance to be, even just to be a backup, because it's almost, I think it's like the threat of that quarterback. So they like, we not gonna even, the good old boys club, we not gonna even have him as a backup because he too much of a threat. Cam Newton last year in New England, he around, but they tried to paint every narrative about Cam. He didn't know the playbook or everything, but in all actuality, he was a threat to the rookie. So
Yeah, I think Cam got a raw ordeal with that. But, Cam is strictly feet first a lot of time. He's not trying to throw the ball. He wants to run. If he can't get option one, maybe option two, he gone every time. That's how he was in Carolina. That's how he was at Auburn. That's all he does. He's always been that way. For the dude to be 6'6" and 260 pounds, I ain't mad at him running over people and all. But, a lot of people don't talk about, too, I know you're going to laugh at this one, Kordell Stewart. Kordell was decent in the NFL, especially playing in Pittsburgh. You're playing for a storied franchise that he was starting on for years. And he did okay with them, but then, if I'm not mistaken, Ben is who replaced him. Or maybe somebody before him replaced him.
I think they got rid of him the year they drafted Ben.
Yeah, but he kept him afloat for a while after they let go of Donald and all.
He left him. He brought him to an AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
a couple of them.
Yeah, and then he came to the Bears and whatever after that. But
well, I'm glad now, because at first it was more gadget plays with black quarterbacks. Always a gimmick. They would never let us. I ain't gonna say us. They would never let the black quarterback, quote unquote, lead a team. Mm-hmm. It was always bring them in for a trick play. Antoine Randall.
Yeah.
Quarterback. It's always a trick play or something, or the Wildcat or something.
Yeah.
They very seldom let the black quarterback lead a team.
Yeah, but I think that changed.
I say it's changing.
Well, I think it started changing when Vic, McNabb, Steve McNabb, when all of them came in the league. Before them you had Cunningham, Moon, Stewart, all those, Culpepper that came in. They was just right. Culpepper definitely was on the brink. He was more closer to Vic and them, but then you bring Vic in. Vic literally took off.
The crazy part about it, they never wanted, and what I've been noticing, they had all these different terminologies for black quarterbacks. But you look at Culpepper basically is what Josh Allen is today.
Yeah, and they never mentioned Culpepper.
Culpepper is what Josh Allen is today.
Only people that really mention him is Randy Moss. Randy Moss give him his credit a lot, but people forget that when them Viking teams back in the late 90s, early 2000s, Culpepper was slinging.
And they didn't want to get out the pocket passer, the Joe Montana, I say Tom Brady, as much as I love him, Peyton Manning type of quarterback. I think that's why they like Brett Favre so much. Even though I think Brett Favre was a bad boy, he got out that pocket and ran. John Elway, another quarterback I love. They did what black quarterbacks did, but with them doing it, oh my God, like they invented the wheel. But a black quarterback was doing it. Oh man, he don't want to lead the team. You can't lead the team by doing that. So that's I hate that they had to do that. Now we bring up Kaepernick, but that's a whole nother
But was
discussion.
Kaepernick really, let's be honest, was Kaepernick really that great though?
I don't think so.
Me either. He had that one good year.
He had
maybe
that one
two.
good year. He had 2 decent years, and what happened to him was wrong.
It definitely
I ain't gonna
was.
never say it was wrong.
Definitely was.
But he was losing his job. He was about to get cut. But that's something where I think people just jumped on to be woke and all that, but that's a whole another different story.
And he did. I mean, he did take the 49ers to the Super
Super
Bowl,
Bowl
you know,
and
the blackout Super
right.
Bowl and all. But you know, I mean, I really think Kaepernick got a bad deal too. But
Yeah.
he was losing it a lot too. But I mean, you know, but I think too, colleges set a lot of black quarterbacks up badly. Prime example, look at Ohio State. Their quarterbacks
are terrible.
They're terrible when they get to lead, but they're notorious for running with their quarterbacks. They do a lot of running with their quarterback. They do a lot of option plays.
I think what's helping now, you have a lot of pro-style offenses that's actually starting in high school in these 7-on-7 drills and stuff like that. So once they get to college, they're having, they being involved in a pro system and getting the pro verbiage and all that. So once they get to the pros, it's nothing brand new to them. But another segment I'm gonna go to on this, even though we had some great black quarterbacks, we also had some that weren't so great and some that flopped. And so I just don't want to say the league was just bad to everybody. So whether it was injuries, bad work ethic, just was bad. So I'm gonna give you guys a shout out too. We just ain't gonna talk about the good quarterbacks because you guys didn't maximize your opportunity. It gave the establishment, see, this is why we don't want them. They can't lead a team because of this right here. So in some instances, it set black quarterbacks back. So I'm gonna give you a couple names and I'm gonna let you speak on that. You know, like I said before, the Keely Smiths. You got, even though he playing now, I think Geno Smith. You got
I don't know how he's still in the league.
You got RG3. I think even though people say he got hurt, I don't think he maximized his ability.
Pretty good commentator.
He's a great commentator, but balling wise, he didn't do good. Jamarcus Russell, whether however they try to spin it, I know he's been on a couple podcasts, and he wanted to say certain things happen, and I know certain situations, things come up, and you know you may not get treated the right way. They may not give you the proper personnel, but you have to, some instances, you have to help yourself. So since I don't know his full story, you know, my personal opinion, mine alone, not Ralph's, not anybody else, this is my personal opinion. The quarterbacks that I named, I don't think they maximize their opportunity. So just like with Jamarcus, even though he was with the Raiders, I think he came into a bad situation, yeah. But I think there were certain things he probably could have did better. One day he'll probably admit it to himself. You never know. Keely Smith, he got drafted by the Bengals. So he was at that time, he was set up to fail. But just like in his situation, how come he wasn't given a second chance? Even with Jamarcus, if Ryan Leaf could get a second chance, he was trash.
Boy.
You know, they gave Jeff George 100 chances. So, you know, that's all I mean by we didn't maximize our opportunity, but sometimes we're our own worst enemy. So what you think about that, Ralph?
I think Jamarcus Russell, highly talented coming out of college. Real good, but I think his work ethic is probably what got him. And, I mean, I seen him on a couple podcasts, and I know he was talking about it, but then also he got dealt a bad deal to Cardinals. He got drafted to the Raiders. At that time, the Raiders was garbage. So, I mean, I don't think they, you know, you come into, when you drafted that high as any top player, you coming into a team that's trash more than likely, unless it's the NBA, and sometimes you get lucky and you might get drafted by a good team. But he was drafted high, and you get drafted to a terrible team. Same thing with Keely Smith. You got drafted to Cincinnati. And then Geno Smith, I've never been a fan of. I've never been a fan of Geno Smith. I think sometimes I'll be wondering what he be looking at. And, I mean, I just never been a fan of him. But then you had those ones, too, that weren't highly touted, like a Russell Wilson, that went to two different schools.
Broncos.
And then end up being better in the league than he was as a college player. So, and then RG3 too. very good at Baylor, but them injuries killed him in the league. Injuries really did him bad. So, but
You know what? I forgot about this quarterback, and I gotta give him this. This really is like the episode where what I mean by I'm gonna give Tyrod Taylor a shout
I forgot all
out.
about him.
I think he gets a raw deal in the league.
Yes, he does.
I think he's a great quarterback. I ain't gonna say great, but I think he's a solid quarterback. But I think he never gets the opportunity to show what he could do. I think they all, even Jacoby Brissett to an extent,
Yeah.
they always are getting the opportunity to keep the seat warm for somebody else instead of just going, even if it's a 1-year thing, let me see what you can do. And every time Tyrod when he got in Buffalo, he got a shot in Buffalo, they did him wrong.
Same thing with the Chargers.
The Chargers got him hurt on purpose.
Yeah.
You can't get more
They
bogus
training
than
staff
that.
did them bogus.
So I got to give him a shout out because I respect that brother. I think with the hand he's dealt, I think he's doing a good job. I wish he would get a shot.
I like Brissett too.
Jacoby Brissett, he showed to me that he has the potential that he could help keep a team steady.
Came from the Patriots.
I give him that. But he's one of those quarterbacks like we do with the white quarterbacks. I'm going to use his example. When Tom Brady first became a quarterback, they didn't ask him to lead. They asked him not to lose the game. And so I think Jacoby Brissett can be one of those, manage the game. We can let you throw a little bit, manage the game. So
Yeah, he did well in New England, and he did well when he got his deal in Indianapolis after Peyton and all them left. And who's there?
Luck. When he was behind Luck.
Luck. There you go, Luck. After Luck left, he did pretty well with them. So, I mean, he just now I think he's their backup now
Yeah.
to Matt Ryan. But
So with this new season, because this episode not gonna be too long, we got two new segments for me and Big Lurch. My new segment is, as I did last week, we got our trash bag segment. So I'm not gonna say somebody was trash because they did make pro, but I'm not gonna call them trash, even though I think the one person I am going to make trash is Willie Beeman, which is Henry Burris. Used to play for the Bears. You was trash as a black quarterback, sir. So that's the only one I'm going to go. I ain't going to be too bogus this week. But another segment we're going to have every show, Big Lurch going to have his own segment. Since my boy is a drunk, he have a segment called Sip and Drip. And I'm going to give it to him and let him explain his segment and what he gonna bring to each show every week. Go ahead, dog.
it's 2 sips and drip, and we're not gonna take 1 sip. We're gonna take 2. So 2 sips and drip. Basically, what the whole idea of 2 sips and drip is, the NFL and pro athletes now, NBA are all about clothing. What do they have on? What you rocking to the game? Who looks good today? Who looks bad today? So we're gonna give shout outs to who came in with drip, like a Deion Sanders type drip, or, Cam Newton sometimes be tripping.
Bogus.
Or we going to give, your opposites and tell you that you look like trash with what you got on.
Cam Newton.
Or like Antonio Brown. Like some things you wear, bro, is tripping.
Cam Newton be dressing like Jeepers Creepers.
So, 2 sips and drip. Look out for it, and we always had the bottle on hand to give you 2 sips.
Give him an example, dog. I know you got something ready.
Yeah, we little proper 12 today and all, so. But, we'll do that. Give everybody they flowers for if you're dressing right, or if you look like trash, we're going to put a trash bag over you.
On that note, also something I'm going to try to do every week, I'm going to try to do some type of historical reference with the T-shirts I wear. I got a thing for T-shirts, and I got a thing for history. So as you can see with my shirt this week, it's a little ode to Martin and Malcolm. It got a little Outkast flavor to it. So all you quote-unquote woke people, don't be talking about in my comments, you offended, can't believe you did Martin and Malcolm like that. Chill out. It ain't that serious. Giving love to the brothers. You know what I'm saying? But that's a wrap on this show. After each show, I always say, love 1030 for my mother. You know, I want to thank everybody for supporting us. Keep checking us out on YouTube, Instagram, and everything. We're going to try to bring more content. We're going to have our show next with our college preview. We're going to have a special guest in the building. You're going to want a lot of bacon, probably. I'm going to give that reference. So if you're a bacon eater, the next episode you'll probably love. So on that note, on behalf of the whole crew, see y'all later.